Hey, what's up, everybody? English Dave here with my co-hosts Mercedes and Raven. What's up?
What up, Dave?
What up?
We are here to talk about new HBO Max sci-fi series Raised by Wolves. This is co-produced by Ridley Scott, famous for classic sci-fi movies such as Alien. You like my face hugger t-shirt? Boom.
Nice.
And one of Raven and I's favorite, and I'm sure Sadie, you love this movie too, Blade Runner.
I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan. I grew up with, my mom was a huge fangirl for Ridley Scott.
I forget that Ridley Scott did Blade Runner.
And
Come on,
Alien.
son. Alien, Blade Runner.
I don't give him credit for that one.
He's the king of sci-fi.
He is the king of sci-fi.
And also, like, really representing women and, like female. All of the aliens
He's always
are always
had badass female
Yeah, he really does represent females well. So I've always been a huge fan.
Mm-hmm. And this is also brought to us by creator Aaron Guzikowski. He's the showrunner of the series. We're just going to talk about the first 3 aired episodes of the series. This is going to be going weekly every Fridays, but we're not going to talk spoilers. We just decided to talk about our feelings on this brand new show. So I'm going to start with you, Mercedes. What were your expectations going into this? We know you love Ridley Scott, but outside of Ridley Scott, what drew you to this outside of me forcing you to watch it?
I'm a huge sci-fi fan, so any sort of production that can literally take me to a whole new world, no pun intended, but like literally, like when you create a whole backdrop and, you know, I'm learning about something else, and yeah, it's nonfiction, but I was totally sucked in from there between the set design, you know, the costumes, the minimal, but like how detailed everything was. I was really intrigued by the show.
Raven, I know you like the prettiness of the trailers and the visual of all this, but what made you, because you know something, you're weird with sci-fi. Raven's my sci-fi friend, but there'll be some sci-fi shows Raven
I'm just not doing it.
And then the other shows,
it's nobody's fault. I'm just not.
But it'll be shows that are like, but if you like this, you should like this, and I always frustrated to kind of.
For me, it's like
I was curious about this show.
Yeah.
Latch on.
I feel like my explanation for that is that as we know, a lot of sci-fi shows don't really get the credit they deserve. I sadly have a lot of PTSD from watching a lot of amazing sci-fi shows that never continued. So there's this whole season or many seasons of a show that's in my head that I'm never going to have closure on. So because of that, with a lot of sci-fi shows, for me, it's not that I don't believe that they're good, but if I don't believe that they'll last, then I'm not going to watch it until it ends as a series, if that makes sense. Because I know it had a beginning, middle, and end. Whereas, like, sadly, a lot of our shows, like... FLASHFORWARD, man, rest in peace. But that was a really great show. Dave and I loved that show. And like season finale was epic. It was amazing. And then it never got greenlit for a second season. And I felt like I learned my lesson from there. So it's not that I won't watch The Expanse, Dave, because I know what show you're talking about. I'm gonna. I'm just waiting until I know, like, this is what the creators had in mind. This is how we wanted to end it. We're going out on our own terms. Then I'll watch it. You know, as of now, though, they have you as a fan. So, you know, just keep doing your thing, and I'll watch it soon.
She said they got you. We're good.
Oh, no, the day The Expanse finishes, I think it's coming up, because I think they're like 5-6 seasons.
Right there, like 6-7 seasons. No?
Yeah, they got a good. But what drew you to this show outside of me forcing you to watch it? Because then why did you say yes to this one?
So this one, it's HBO. For the most part, I trust HBO to where almost any show that they believe in enough to back, support, and distribute, I'm probably going to enjoy it. Other than Game of Thrones pissed me off a lot. But we're not going to talk about that.
True Blood's in that category.
Yeah. But other than that, for the most part, HBO shows, you know.
And I feel like that's an old time. This is a new generation.
Exactly. Like so far, you know, like they gave me Watchmen, we're doing Lovecraft, I'm doing it week to week, and I'm okay with it. So I feel like, you know, they have budget, and the people behind it, like, for example, Ridley Scott is a big enough name to where I don't think somebody's taking Ridley Scott's show off HBO, you know? I think they're at least going to give him 2 seasons, I hope. So I think that made me a little more intrigued. Definitely the visuals. And conceptually, I love the concept, or I love that I don't know what the concept is. I think the question of it is what kind of led me in, because it's like, from seeing the trailers, I still have no clue even after watching 3 episodes, what the show is about.
And I think, let's talk about that. It's one of those shows that starts off, and I think there's a reason. It's a good thing that they started off with 3 episodes. Episode 1 kind of almost sets up the show as very cerebral.
Right.
While interesting, it still kind of made you feel like, oh, this is going to be one of those shows where you just have to really pay attention. But I think episode 2 and 3 say, no, actually it's a mixture of both. Without going into detail, what did you think of just the overall way that the 3 episodes were brought to you?
I totally agree with you. I think we're going to go on a roller coaster of emotions this season. And for certain characters, we're going to have like this love-hate relationship. And it's going to make us have these conversations about human nature and what our responses are going to be to times of stress and things that are happy, and what is a true human response. Because from the show, I feel like it's pretty evident that there is an android aspect to it. So, what feelings are more human feelings? So that's what I'm excited to see from it. And with these first 3 episodes, I think I'm a good level of confused, like where I can have a conversation with you guys and we all have a different idea of what's happening, but we're not like, no, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. We're like, oh, okay, let's see where this goes, because it's just, it could go anywhere at this point.
What I like about this first 3 episodes, though, is that as much as we don't know, I feel like we get a lot more information than I expected. Because there's some things that happened just in episode 1 that could have been dragged on for 4 episodes. We actually move along very quickly in the 3 episodes. We get a lot of information on certain characters.
I feel like the show changed 3 different times, like the theme of it.
It's like the hashtag for
each episode
1
is
was
its own theme.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah,
we're like, whoa. That escalated quickly.
That's the perfect sentence for episode 1.
But I think that's because it's also dealing with a lot, so it's setting up a lot in terms of past, present, and past and far future, and in terms of in human relations, not just with each other, relations with AI. But it's not. It's in a weird way. It's like a direct conversation with human and AI, but it's mostly about humans fighting each other, because without going into detail, there's a huge religious war aspect to it.
Yes.
And that's, for me, that's kind of like the extra thing that's like, oh, interesting. There's some things that is, in fact, not going to spoilers, but we see certain flashbacks and visuals of this religious war, and just the way some people are dressed and the kind of the design, the religious symbolism they add to it. But this is supposed to be like 300 years in the future, but we're still dealing with religious shit. And then how does AI factor into that? That's when I'm like, oh, okay, shit. And then the synopsis for the story is we have left Earth to go to another planet, and we're just taking that same shit with us. And I'm like, oh,
yes,
shit. How does that?
I almost spoiled something.
I know,
but it was
that's
a
why I'm
random
stuttering.
nitpick.
I'm stuttering. Without going into detail, again, this does deal with all the themes from religion, like I spoke, and how AI factors into that, because we have 2 characters, mother and father, and part of the story is that they are raising these children on another planet. You have robots raising children, and I find that very interesting, because it's like, well, what does that mean for our future, and who programmed those robots in themselves? Ray, I want to ask, what do you think of the 2 characters of mother and father?
I like them a lot because it really plays with I think the whole line of like what what's the difference, like other than the fact that an AI is obviously a machine. I think it deals with the subtleties.
Obviously, right?
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, but not. And I think that this show does a good job of like showing, I guess, like the fringe outlines of where that lack of emotion, or where being a AI kind of comes in, because there's moments that you almost feel like there is actual raw emotion, like there is compassion, but programming a certain way in a human's eye would, like the effect of that would almost be a emotion within itself, if that makes sense. It's like the AIs are emotional and can express emotion, but it's through programming, which I think is interesting. Just by their way of reacting to something. If you're trying to protect a child, it seems like you do care. Like you have to care for that child because as you're programming, so you care, but it's not because you're empathetic or sympathetic. It's because it's your programming. So I think it's interesting because there are moments that even myself, I'm like, it almost feels the same, where it's like, maybe they can truly care for other things. They can actually have relationships, not only amongst each other, but with human beings that's, substantial. But I like that this show deals with that, like, gray area. If that makes sense.
Well, that's the thing that you mentioned. The gray area is the fact that science tells us that our emotions are almost programmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
This and that, there's a certain reaction that comes with specific things.
Right.
And in ways it is programming. So it's like, where do we differ?
Where's the dividing line? Is what I think I like best about this show is we're dealing with different factors here, right? You have AI conversation even within the religious stuff, because you have people who are atheists and people who believe in this religion, that it's a made up religion within the context of the show. What I like about this show is it doesn't plant any one group as completely good or completely bad. It does this thing of almost like showcasing point of view of like, well, what if this? Oh, but what if that? Without spoiling, what is that? What do you think of that aspect of the show?
And I like the way that the show's showing duality of both sides, where what you're not seeing like, oh, there's one bad side and there's one good side. Everyone has their secrets, and I feel like they're all going to come to light. And then depending on if they want to like actually communicate in the right way, certain secrets don't actually have to be so bad. There's certain things that people can work together if they open up. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they do that. But yeah, I like how they're showing like both sides, because then you actually have more of like a cerebral conversation of like human interaction and emotion of how people react and stress and stuff.
No, Raven knows this. I've always been a person who doesn't like narratives that automatically says AI and robots are evil. Because I feel like they are the program of what we give them, right? What we teach them. If we create robots and AI for military purposes, yeah, they can go down that path because that's what we're teaching them. And it comes down to, there's parts of this story that insinuates on whoever creates each individual android, they follow that protocol of the creator, and what is the morality that the creator is giving it onto them, and how that plays. Because even between mother and father, they're different levels of AI. They're not the same. And you see other. So it's not. That's what I like about it. You don't just see the same type of AI. It's different types depending on what they were created for. Like, are they protectors? Are they this and that? And also on the flip side of it, it doesn't play on just saying science is the be all and end all, and religion knows nothing, spirituality knows nothing. It plays on the idea of, science, I believe in science, but there must be something.
It's nice to have a little bit of faith.
Hey, Deus Ex Machina, man. You get to a certain point where they're one and the same. As far as you can go back in science, it eventually becomes religion. And as far as you can go back in religion, it becomes science. And I do like that this show does deal with that in between, in that gray area. And, because ultimately, it kind of also deals with what's going on now, in a two-party system in America. It's not exactly, it shouldn't be extremes, Any type of established peace is going to come from kind of compromising. And I like that the AI is kind of maybe that third factor that'll, force everyone in balance.
Exactly. I agree. And I think that for me is what intrigued me to the show, because Ridley Scott likes to play with that.
It deals with religion and science.
Religion, God, man, science. Exactly what does it all mean? Where did it all come from? And this idea that, well, what if your idea of God and creator might be different, but doesn't mean the meaning is different. It's just how it happened could be different. The explanation is different, because science says anything and everything is possible. Like even some crazy stuff. Yeah. And before we finish, I will say though, this show also has very exciting, intense moments. It's not just, and that's what I was worried about after episode 1, just thinky cerebral, which I do like, but it's not for everybody. This show does also have like intense, scary, action, cool, fun, like moments like that. And I appreciated that it also does that once it gets to the nitty gritty of it.
Yeah, I felt like episode 1, it was weird. It was like slow until it wasn't.
Yes.
And then episode 2, 3, like, I'm good. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm here. Let's do this. Right. But like you said, it's like some surprising, like, kind of genres in there that I wasn't really expecting. I thought I was just going to get like sci-fi, but it's kind of a good mix.
Well, I will say, like, it's not a spoiler, but I will say that the show has more main characters than you realize. And once all the
Yeah.
players come to play, you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
now we're in this. Yeah.
Is it a spoiler to say that I was excited to see the chick from Emerald City, the little girl?
No, you can say you
not
don't say
spoiler.
the context. Just say
Jordan Luffren.
Yes, I was like, yay! I thought the same thing.
I was so excited when I saw her. I was like, wait, who is it? Oh my god, yeah! I got so excited because she's a really dope, like she's a really great actress. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen with her character throughout the rest of the season.
Agreed. This show airs every Thursdays on HBO and HBO Max. We will be doing our review on Mondays, so hopefully the reviews will be out on Tuesdays. And if you guys want to follow along with our thoughts, this is a show I'm really looking forward to. Just these are conversations that, super sci-fi conversations we like to always have it all the time. So like having a context to have more of it, I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Any last thoughts before we cut off? We've got a minute and a
Is
half
it
left.
Is it Thursday yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Right,
Is it?
right.
Damn.
In a funny way, right? I'm more excited to review this weekly than The Boys, even though I'm still enjoying The Boys. But I feel like this is new to me, and I'm like,
This is a weekly type of show, though. Like, I'm
Yeah.
excited for this show because I really want to know what happens next. Whereas
Right.
The Boys, I can almost predict what's going to happen
Right.
next, but I still
Yeah.
want to see it.
The Boys is
Right.
like another cool.
But it's like I
superhero
could
thing.
wait. Like, it's fun, but it's more like action-packed. And
Right,
action
right.
I could watch anytime.
Yeah,
This,
yeah.
I'm like, ooh,
For real.
cerebral sci-fi. Need it.
Crazy mouth stuff.
Right? There's always some crazy mouth. And
On
then
that
it
note-
I was like, whoa.
Well, we gotta go.
Whoa, that
Thank
escalated
you.
quickly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Raven.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mercedes.
Thank you, Dave.
I
Before
want to
this cuts
spoil
off,
it.
My name is English Dave. This has been a spoiler-free review for the first few
And then
episodes
that part
of
when-
Raised by Wolves. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, Raven.
Keep it nerdy.
Mercedes instead.
Ah,
Keep it dirty.
you
Peace,
should have just
guys.
said it, Dave. And as always, keep it nerdy. All right.